London's Bridge was a street with houses. Imagine 17th-century London, not just a big city but a massive human hub. Nearly 500,000 people crammed into a space built for far fewer. Narrow streets, wooden buildings, and a river connecting it all. Join us as we explore 17th-century London through art, prints, and 3D reconstructions. We'll uncover how the city moved, where power lay, and why the Thames was so much more. Before modern avenues and functional bridges, the Thames was London's main artery. It moved food, coal, timber, cloth, and imports, people too. Boatmen, merchants, messengers, judges, clergy, politicians, all used the river. It was faster and more reliable than the choked streets. The Thames linked London to the rest of England, Europe, and the wider Atlantic world. And right where this flow converged stood one of the city's most extraordinary structures. By the 17th century, London Bridge was more than just a crossing. It was a full street, suspended over the water. Houses, shops, workshops, warehouses, even chapels lined it end to end. From afar, it looked less like a bridge, more like a floating neighborhood. The bridge rested on narrow stone arches supported by huge piers. These piers violently disrupted the Thames flow, creating dangerous currents. Navigating under it was risky even for seasoned boatmen. Accidents were common. Life on the bridge itself wasn't easy either. Buildings rose several stories overhanging the roadway. Fire was a constant threat. Congestion was inevitable, yet generations lived and worked there. For centuries, this was the only permanent Thames crossing in central London. All north-south traffic had to go through here. Some harsh winters, cold, and bridge restrictions caused the river to freeze over. During these brief periods, the Thames transformed. People walked, traded, and celebrated on the ice. A deadly place became a public gathering space for a few days. On London's western outskirts, far from the crowded centre, was Buckingham House. Long before it was Buckingham Palace, it was a private estate with open land. Here, the city ended, and the countryside began. In September 1666, London changed forever. A seemingly small fire spread through a city built of wood, with narrow streets. The blaze raged for days unchecked. Churches, markets, homes, and landmarks vanished in flames. Even Old St. Paul's Cathedral was destroyed. From the river, London looked like a wall of fire. When it was over, much of medieval London was gone. But the disaster forced the city to rethink its future. As London burned and rebuilt, the Tower of London still projected authority. In the 17th century, it was a fortress, armory, prison, and treasury. Inside its walls were the crown jewels and traitors, a single structure symbolizing power and the threat of punishment. Cheapside was one of London's most vital streets, a commercial hub, but also a stage for ceremonies. In 1638, it hosted the solemn entry of Marie de Medici. Pomp, soldiers, and crowds masked deep tensions. Foreign influence, Catholicism, and conflict between the king and Parliament worried the city. On the Thames banks, Westminster held political and spiritual power. The Palace of Westminster housed Parliament, which began to openly challenge the monarch. Westminster Hall saw trials and proclamations that could change the kingdom's fate, and Westminster Abbey held the symbolic weight of centuries of coronations and royal funerals. Nearby, Whitehall Palace stretched along the river.